Hey, this is Kaufman is Alive YouTube channel. I look at comic books new and old. Today I'm looking at Spawn Kills Every Spawn. This came out in July of 2024. This is the first issue of a 5-part miniseries. It's got a $2.99 cover price. We got John Layman as the writer, and Rob Dunas is the artist here. We got Mini Spawn killing all the spawns. He's riding this Violator. Looks like a Mario Kart Violator. Got the plasma goo everywhere. Spawn's getting dismembered. So this looks like a lot of fun. I love how it's got the first issue in kind of a cartoon font highlighted there. If you've ever heard like Todd McFarlane talk about how he kind of despises the first issue trope, comics being renumbered back to number one just to sell an issue. But that's exactly what they're doing here, which is pretty funny. And as you might guess, this comic's very meta with lots of inside jokes. So, like I said, we got Rob Sketchcraft Dunas as the artist here. And honestly, I don't know if he draws all this using computers or if he actually uses pencil and inks. I'm not too sure about his process, but either way, I really like the work that he does in this. I mean, it's obviously super cartoonish. Kind of reminds me of Invader Zim or maybe like Scud the Disposable Assassin, which was by another Rob Schrab. But I like the style in this. Like I said, it kind of takes me back to that Scud era of comic books, that kind of independent cartoonish style, and obviously it does kind of look like that Nickelodeon style, but just ramped up with lots of violence here. Obviously, we're in the Spawn universe, and right away we get what we've been sold here, what we've been promised, as we get Spawn killing every Spawn. On that first splash page, he killed regular Spawn, and then he's killing medieval Spawn, She Spawn, Redeemer's getting killed there. Monolith gets killed. And this little mini Spawn is explaining that this is how the story ends, with one Spawn to rule them all, me. And we get this giant splash page of mini Spawn here in hell, with all the little Spawn variants dying in the hellfire. He's got this like wicked looking Violator gun. Really cool stuff. So then he explains who he is. He's Lil Spawn. You can call him Lil Spawn, even Chibi Spawn. He says, just don't call me Albert. And he introduces his little pet bat, which is his buddy. And he also explains how this is not a real Spawn story, and he's not even a real Spawn. And this is not in continuity or anything like that. And he says, which is cool because he can do weird stuff like this. But he's saying how not being in continuity kind of hurts a guy's self-esteem. So he says, here's what I think of that. And he's just ripping up all the Spawn Kills Everyone comic books here. And he talks about how the prologue wasn't even real. It was just to get you hooked reading this comic book, and the actual Spawn killing comes later. So, pretty funny, I think. So he decides that he's going to go to SpawnCon here, as he's going to be telling us the story of how and why he wants to kill all the other Spawns. So obviously we get like this parody of a Comic-Con, which is very clever. And he keeps marking down his autographs. He's got one soda can, then two or three or four, and then his little station's becoming a mess here as no one's showing up. He says, this sucks. And there's all these little Spawn comics too, and like posters all throughout this book. like down there in the corner, which makes me think a lot of this art's digital. Like he uh, got some images and cropped them down and put them in the book here. Although it's possible he did draw those little images and just shrunk them down digitally as well. Not quite sure. But then we get the big giant double splash page here of mini Spawn, and no one's in his line at all. There's all these other Spawn variants here. There's even, my favorite part about this comic is the appearance of Dragon Spawn there, who I just think is such a cool like amalgam character combining Savage Dragon and Spawn. And honestly, I didn't even know he was in this book when I bought this. But if you've watched any of my videos, you might know that I'm a huge Savage Dragon fan. So seeing him pop up in this book was a great treat for sure. He's got some fans who've even got some dragon fins on and all the merchandise. There's someone with a grifter mask. So then we see one Comic-Con patron here who's saying that he actually wants to talk to Lil Spawn, but he just wants to know where Medieval Spawn is. So then he gets confronted by all these Angela cosplayers, but they don't actually call her Angela in this book because obviously Marvel now owns the rights to the character. So, but we do see these Angela-looking cosplayers show up, though, like I said. And at first he thinks he's about to get all this attention. And they start dressing him up, actually, as Gunslinger Spawn. And he's just like, please kill me now. So the girls, they want to take a picture of him. And he's just sick of this. He's sick of being, used and turned into all these other spawns. He wants to make a name for himself, So he decides he's going to leave. He's like, Gunslinger Spawn, give me a break. He's not that popular. We get these guys in like Spawn hockey outfits here. You know how much Todd McFarlane loves hockey, so a little nod there. And so he says that's how all this started. Just getting shunned at the Spawn Con drove him insane. So, classic supervillain origin story, you might say. All the shops in this panel, too, it's like Olaf's Cafe. We've got Greggy's Gym, which is like Greg Capullo. It's got the Greg Capullo mascot symbol there. So like all these stores are like comic creator names, which I think is pretty funny. We've got Spawn the Plague movie poster up here as well. So Lil Spawn, he goes home. He says he's going to start formulating a plan here. We meet Mama Spawn saying, I hope he didn't spend any of his money at the stupid con. And he says, I didn't spend any money. I didn't even make any money. And then he says he doesn't want to even think about anything remotely Spawn ever again. So then he goes into his room and he's just freaking out. His eyeballs are popping out of his head. Again, we get lots of like posters and stuff on his wall that are just like Spawn covers that look like miniaturized and put in here. There's a Spawn like fighter video game on there. Got some action figures, Spawn curtains. Even his bed's got little Spawn accoutrements there. Spawn sheets, of course. So he says, remember that plan I formulated back on page 14? So he starts to talk about his plan. We actually see in the thought cloud here, it's the exact same double splash page we saw earlier in the book, as he's dreaming about murdering all the spawns. Then Mom busts in the room. scolds him for starting a fire in his room. She says, no more smashing, crashing, bashing, no more breaking or burning things, and no more noise. And we see a nice shot of his bed here. He's got the Spawn wristbands on his bed. He says, well, what can I do? She says, you can sit quietly and don't make any more trouble. Here, I got you some comic books to read. And we see some Spawn comic books. And that just, he blows a complete gasket here, nuclear bomb. And he goes, this is where our story begins, dear readers. I'm going to kill every Spawn starting next issue. So, to be continued. So, a really cute book. A lot of fun. I like the art in this as well. And it's just a fun read. Like I said, it's number 1 of a 5-part miniseries. So, I'll definitely be checking out all the upcoming issues as well. I'm a big Spawn guy. I really like the current Spawn universe that they've got going on. So this is a nice little addition to it, even though he says it's not in continuity. But I suppose we'll see about that when we get to the end of this series. So I want to thank you for watching this video. If you do like videos like this, please subscribe. I post every day. And I'll see you guys on the next one.